You will cry after listening to this story. Linda is sipping her coffee one morning when the phone rings. Linda, cradling her coffee cup, nearly spilled it as the shrill sound jolted her out of her daydream. Not yet fully awake from her sleep, she dropped the cup when she heard the voice from across. "Grandma, please help me." Linda's heart stopped. It was Noah, her sweet, carefree grandson who'd always called her after soccer practice or to tell her about the latest video game he loved. But this time his voice was strained, panicked. "Noah, honey, what's wrong?" "Oh, Grandma," he cried. "I messed up so bad. I don't know what to do." Linda clutched the phone tighter. "Slow down, baby. Tell me what happened." "There was an accident," he said through shaky breaths. "A man. He's hurt, Grandma. Really bad. The cops say it's my fault." Linda felt the blood drain from her face. "Oh my God, are you hurt? Where are you?" "I need your help. Please don't tell Mom or Dad. They'll hate me forever." Linda swallowed hard. "Of course, sweetheart. I won't say anything. Just tell me what I need to do." A new voice came on the line, deep, authoritative. "Mrs. Clark, this is Noah's attorney. We need to act quickly if we want to keep him out of jail." Linda's pulse raced. "Jail? No, that can't happen. What do you need?" "There's a bond payment required immediately, $50,000, the voice said. "Cash only. We'll explain everything once Noah is safe." Linda's breath caught in her throat. $50,000? I don't have that much. Do you have savings? A retirement account? Anything? She hesitated. She had been saving every penny for years, but none of that mattered now. Noah was in trouble. "I'll get the money," she said, her voice breaking. The line went silent for a moment. Then Noah came back on. "I love you, Grandma. I knew I could count on you." Tears blurred Linda's vision. "I love you too, baby. Just hang in there, okay?" She hung up the phone and sat frozen, her mind spinning. This couldn't be happening. But there was no time to think. She grabbed her purse, her hands shaking as she stuffed her checkbook inside. As she stepped outside and locked the door behind her, the world suddenly felt heavier, darker. She didn't know that this day, this phone call, would change everything. Linda gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. The streets blurred past her, but her mind was fixated on Noah's voice. The fear, the desperation. Her grandson needed her, and she couldn't let him down. Pulling into the bank parking lot, Linda wiped her damp palms against her skirt. She rehearsed what she'd say. Just a quick withdrawal. Nothing unusual. No one needed to know why. But as she stepped inside, the fluorescent lights made her feel exposed, like everyone could see her panic. The teller, a young woman with a warm smile, greeted her. "Good morning, Miss Clark. How can I help you today?" Linda hesitated, then leaned in closer. I need to make a withdrawal." "Sure, how much?" $50,000, cash." The smile faltered. "Oh, that's a lot. Let me just check your account." Linda shifted uncomfortably as the teller typed away. She could feel the other customers in line behind her, their eyes boring into her back. Her heart pounded. What if the teller asked too many questions? What if this took too long? Finally, the woman nodded. "You're good to go. Just need your ID and a few minutes to count it out." Linda handed over her license with shaky fingers. She hated the judgment in the teller's eyes, but she brushed it off. Noah needed her. By the time the money was in her hands, her nerves were shot. She stuffed the cash into her purse and hurried out of the bank, glancing over her shoulder as if someone might stop her. In the car, she fumbled with her phone and dialed the number the man had given her. "I have it," she said the moment he answered. "Good," the voice replied. "There's a drop-off location. I'll text you the address. Don't tell anyone and don't stop anywhere. Time is critical." Linda's breath hitched. "But what about Noah? Can I talk to him again? He's safe for now, but we can't risk exposing him any further. Just follow the instructions." The call ended before she could protest. Linda stared at her phone, then at the envelope of cash sitting on the passenger seat. Her gut twisted. Something about this didn't feel right. But then she thought of Noah, scared, alone, counting on her. She couldn't let him down. She followed the GPS directions out of town and into a quiet neighborhood. Her hands trembled as she parked near a rundown house just as instructed. A man in a dark hoodie approached the car. Linda hesitated, but rolled down the window. "Is this for Noah?" she asked, clutching the envelope. The man didn't respond. He simply snatched the money and disappeared around the corner. Linda waited, expecting her phone to ring, expecting someone, Noah, to tell her it was over. But the phone stayed silent. Minutes turned to hours as she sat in the car, hope slowly draining from her. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, a sinking realization crept in. She had been lied to. She had been scammed. And now $50,000 was gone. Linda drove home in silence, her thoughts racing. Maybe there was still a chance. Maybe she could fix this. But deep down, she already knew nothing would ever be the same again. Linda sat at the kitchen table staring at the phone. It hadn't rung since she got home. Her hands trembled as she dialed Noah's real number, praying this time he'd answer. "Grandma?" Noah's voice came through, clear and steady. Linda nearly dropped the phone. Relief flooded her. "Noah, are you okay? Where are you?" "I'm at school," he said, confused. "What's wrong?" Her heart sank. "School?" "Yeah, why? Did something happen?" Linda couldn't speak. Her chest tightened, and tears welled in her eyes. She pressed the phone to her ear, her breath shaky. I thought you were in trouble. Someone called me. They said it was you. They said, "Grandma, slow down. Who called?" She couldn't finish. The words caught in her throat. Her grandson wasn't in trouble. He never had been. She hung up without saying goodbye. Her entire body went cold as the truth sank in. She had been scammed. The next morning, Linda walked into the police station clutching the crumpled envelope that once held her life savings. She felt small, out of place. The officer at the front desk barely looked up. "I need to report a theft," she said quietly. The officer finally glanced up. "What happened, ma'am?" Linda explained everything. The phone call, the money, the drop-off. She kept waiting for him to reassure her, to say it would be okay. But his face gave nothing away. "Did you see the man's face?" "No. He had a hood." "Did you record the call?" "No." The officer sighed and handed her a form. "We'll file a report, but cases like this are hard to solve. I'm sorry." That was it? Linda blinked at the paper in her hands. That was all they could do? She left the station feeling even more broken than when she arrived. At home, she sat in the living room, staring at the empty chair across from her, the chair where her husband used to sit, where they'd planned their future, saved for retirement, and dreamed of leaving something for their kids and grandkids. Now, it was gone. The next few days passed in a blur. Linda avoided calls from her children. She couldn't bear to tell them what she had done. They'd be disappointed. Worse, they might never trust her again. When she finally picked up the phone, it was her daughter, Karen. "Mom, I've been trying to reach you. What's going on?" Linda hesitated. "Nothing. Everything's fine." But Karen wasn't convinced. "You don't sound fine. Did something happen?" Linda almost said it. The words were right there. But shame held her back. "It's nothing, sweetie. I'll call you later." She hung up and leaned back in her chair, covering her face with her hands. The truth was too heavy to share. And for the first time in her life, Linda felt completely and utterly alone. Linda couldn't escape the silence. It was everywhere, wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. She sat in her dimly lit living room, staring at the clock as the seconds dragged by. Her hands trembled as she reached for the phone, but she couldn't bring herself to dial Karen's number again. What would she even say? That she'd fallen for a scam? That she'd given away every penny she and her husband had saved? She could already imagine the disappointment in her daughter's voice, the judgment. Her eyes drifted to the empty chair across the room. It had always been Harold's spot. She could almost see him sitting there, reading the paper, sipping his coffee, smiling at her like everything was right in the world. But Harold was gone. And now, so was their safety net. The thought hit her hard. Linda stood suddenly, pacing the room. Her breath quickened. She felt trapped in her own home, surrounded by reminders of what she'd lost, of what she'd given away. She walked into the kitchen hoping to distract herself, but every drawer she opened reminded her of Harold's careful planning, his labeled envelopes, his notebooks full of budgets and goals. Linda slammed one shut and leaned against the counter, tears streaming down her face. How could she have been so stupid? A knock at the door startled her. She wiped her eyes quickly and opened it to find Karen standing there, worry etched into her face. "Mom? What's going on?" Linda froze. She hadn't called Karen. She hadn't told her anything, but Karen already knew something was wrong. "Mom," she said again, stepping inside. "Tell me the truth." And just like that, Linda broke. Her knees gave out, and Karen caught her, holding her as the tears finally spilled out. "I lost everything," Linda whispered. "I lost it all." Karen sat across from Linda, her face pale and unreadable. The weight of her mother's confession hung in the air. "How much?" Karen's voice was quiet but firm. Linda swallowed hard. "Everything." Karen leaned back, her hands trembling as she ran them through her hair. "Mom, how could you not call me first? How could you believe them?" "I thought it was him," Linda cried. "I thought it was my grandson." Her voice broke and the tears came again. Karen softened but didn't move closer. "We'll figure something out." But Linda saw it, the hesitation, the shift in Karen's eyes. It wasn't just disappointment, it was doubt. Over the next few days, Linda's world unraveled further. Karen took control of her finances. The calls stopped, but the damage lingered. One night, as Linda sat alone, she glanced at the empty chair. "I'm sorry, Harold," she whispered. "I failed." And for the first time, she didn't bother wiping away her tears.